what's
thing in
this going to be? And
WandaVision.
this, hold, but I do think that. But here's what I'll say. Now she's back in the CIA. She's selling secrets, and she just not only is she friends with the Avengers, she just saved Sam's life by shooting Carly, right? And so like they trust her implicitly, like completely trust her to the point where she is back in the CIA, trusted by the American government, trusted by the Avengers, and nobody knows what she's up to. She is arguably the most powerful human in the world. And so, like, she's able to kind of do whatever and run whatever she wants from the sideline without anyone knowing what's going on. I shouldn't say from the sideline, like in the shadows, without anyone knowing what's going on or anyone knowing who is running the show. And that, to me, is really interesting because they can get super dark with her,
Oh yeah. I mean that last line, where she's like, get the buyers on the phone or whatnot, and they're
Right.
like, no, we don't have super serum, but we have access to all government secrets and
Right.
and prototype weapons and all sorts. Like that's like, okay, they're setting something up here, and I honestly think we're gonna get a season 2. I think we're gonna get a season 2
I think
of this
so
show.
too.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I
we
think
get
so
a
too.
season 2 of WandaVision, but I definitely think that we get a season 2
Or we
because
get
like
Captain America 4 instead, right?
yeah.
Which is a possibility that instead of getting this, we get Captain America 4.
I would almost rather a season 2 though, because it's more than just 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I would rather have 6 hours of content to kind of go through it. I kind of like them as a TV show, and what we're thinking, I'm pretty sure Loki's going to be a one-off. I'm pretty sure some of these are all going to be one-offs. I wouldn't mind having Falcon Winter Soldier be a reoccurring.
Right, I agree with you. And yes, you're right. I did know that. I said that knowing that Captain America 4 has been already confirmed. But I mean, like, what I'm saying is that we continue this storyline in Captain America 4. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We're gonna see what happens. With all of this stuff going on, and Red Skull lives on Vormir right now, so it's hard for him to be in Captain America 4. You would think, at least, although I don't know. There's so many different things going on. There's what's the one with the Meadow? It's not Meadow Wars, but it's like the one with Iron. It's not Iron Wars. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Yeah.
But
I know.
You know what I mean? Like where
Ironheart or whatever.
yeah, I forget what it's called, but you got Iron Man's tech, and Iron Man's trying to protect his tech. Then the Secret Invasion. There's so many different Marvel properties coming in.
It's going to be great.
What if it's going to be dope? Although that's going to be separate from I don't think that's going to advance the storyline at all. It's going to be dope though.
There's so many Marvel properties, but let's get some people up here.
So yes, let's do it. So Max has sent a speaker request, so I'm going to get Max up first, and then whoever wants to go, just throw a speaker request in, and we'll get you up on stage. All right, Max. Max, what's up, brother? Thanks for coming through.
What's going on, Maxwell? Thanks for coming on, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Armchair Superheroes. Appreciate it.
Sure.
I mean, I'll try to be quick. I mean, because I have a lot of slander for this series.
No, take slander away.
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, I mean, truthfully though, I was kind of disappointed in the series as a whole, especially after watching the finale. Like, I had confidence in it because I love the MCU, so I was hoping that something would pop off that would really make me satisfied with the series as a whole. I think, to me, I don't like to make this comparison because I think there are two different types of shows. But if you would ask like this or WandaVision, I'd probably lean WandaVision just because of the fact that I felt like there was a lot of depth with Sam. Like, this was an amazing, Sam as Captain America origin story. Like, really well thought out. The commentary on race in America was great. I loved all that stuff. And it was great. But I think a lot of the other aspects of a lot of the other characters was pretty shallow. Especially Carly, especially I felt like we got shortchanged with Bucky, shortchanged with Zemo, which was particularly disappointing for me because I said this before on one of those previous shows that I like Zemo is my favorite villain in the MCU. So I just felt like they should have focused a little bit more. I know that there's a lot of I know that there was some other threads they had to pull in with U.S. Agent and a lot of different things, but I just didn't like um, the fact that essentially the three quote unquote villains really turned out to be anti-heroes in this series.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like they should have focused, maybe they should have cut a couple of the storylines and maybe just focused on creating more depth with some of the characters that they had instead of kind of throwing all these cameos and these threads together for the wow factor. I felt like it was a little bit more sizzle than steak.
I can get behind that. I think for me, one of the disappointments for that I felt was that it didn't really advance the phase at all. Like WandaVision clearly advanced the phase. That my cat's spazzing out. It clearly advanced the phase, and it didn't really feel like it did that to me, for me in this series. And I agree, there could have been a little bit more depth behind some of the characters and really bring them to the forefront. Um, but I thought there were missed opportunities as well. Just subtle things too. Like we know Fantastic Four is coming, right? We know that it's been announced. Why not? Why not have a little throw to Doctor Doom and Latveria? Why not have a little throw to something over here? And like, how big of a role is Carly the Power Bro? I mean, not Carly. Sharon the Power Broker and U.S. Agent going to play in the grand scheme of things? I'm not sure yet. I don't think anybody is sure, but we know how big of a role Wanda is going to play throughout the whole entire MCU going through this next phase. I feel like, that's where I was kind of let down with the series. Kind of talked about that after every episode. Where is this going to go? What's it going to tie into next? Now we got Captain America 4 announced, but still, how is that going to tie into everything? But I can see your.
All right, so here's my request. Okay, my request is, for the love of God, please stop comparing it to Spider-Man 3. For the love of God, Spider-Man 3 is arguably one of the worst superhero movies ever made. It has by far the worst casting decision in the history of movies, with Topher Grace as Venom. Like, just killed that entire series. And so, yes, there was a lot of storylines going on. I agree. Okay, I do agree with that. And but I will say this. Okay, you said it didn't advance the storyline, but I think it did quite a bit, actually. And so I'm curious to see how this works out. But they created a new U.S. agent, right? Who is going to be in somehow in this new phase. Sam is now Captain America. Bucky has now figured his shit out, so he's now where he needs to be, right? Zemo is back now in the raft. You got to assume that he's going to be in one of these things. Torres is going to take over as the Falcon. It looks like, right? So they kind of did all of these things, and they also had this, what I thought was a very powerful, grounded thing where, part of the problem is this, right? You had the blip, okay? And this is one of those things where you had to address what happened in the blip somehow, right? And you had to address, like, what happened, what would happen to the world if half of the people disappeared for 5 years, right? And although it might not be like the most entertaining thing ever to do that, this did a great job of kind of going through and looking at what the political climate would look like, what would be going on in the situation, and then drawing parallels to what's happening right now as well. And so I thought that they kind of tied all that stuff together pretty well. Yes, there was a lot going on, but you had they couldn't just move on from the blip and be like, "Hey, everything's fine, like everyone's back.
Yeah,
okay, here we go." You know what I mean?
That's fine, Pat. I thought they should have taken more time to do that, especially on the side of Carly and the Flag Smashers. Like, why did it need to be 6 episodes? Like, like like take more time to tell that story from their perspective. Like they did a good job, I thought, with Sam again. Like they really did like talk about what his family was going through and the boat and everything. That was all great, but like what the hell is like where did Carly come from and like why is she the leader? She's a teenager. Like give us some information as to like who she is and who they are and like what they care about. Like what like it was very I don't have an issue with them addressing the blip and like I the trope of you know first world people becoming fighting back against the man is a very common trope and like that's fine. I get that. But I thought like even with the not to bring Zemo back up again, but like in Civil War his depth was fleshed out in a way that like I was really like, damn, like I understand this guy, like you know what I'm saying, and like that just wasn't done the same way equally for everybody. So, and that's where it lost me. Like, and even adding more depth to um, John Walker and Lamar, like just give me. I feel like I didn't read any explanations for why it was only 6 episodes, but like I would have liked, like Josh said, having more content versus the movie. Like if you have a TV show, take the opportunity to take us on that journey and tell the story instead of just like kind of blowing through everybody else especially when you have so many characters. Like they should have either had less characters and less plot lines or just taken the time to flesh out all the ones that they did. And I think it would have been
For me too, I think part of the problem is we just got back from space and from a hexagonal dimension as a viewer, Um, I really think this is going to be what we're going to see here is there's going to be three realms of MCU right now. And I think that this kind of solidified that moving forward. We're going to have the Earth-based stuff that's going to really be, what we saw in Falcon Winter Soldier. Whether it's terrorist stuff or whether it's this or that or whatever it is, that's going to be played out by some of these heroes. And apparently Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Punisher may all be back, according to some rumors that are going on right now. Then we're going to have our Guardians of the Galaxy and the Skrulls and Captain Marvel and all those stuff dealing with the space. And then we're going to have Doctor Strange dealing with the multiverses with Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch and whoever else is involved with that. And I don't know how they'll bring it all together for one big battle or if they even do that again. But I think going forward with the MCU, that's what we're looking at. And that's what we kind of need to, just discussing it, temper expectations. Because that's the next logical step for them is to do these three different elements, and whether they all tie together, whether they all bring together or come together at one point in time is left to be seen. But I think that's what we're looking at in the future is these three different elements of Earth, space, and multiverses. And if they all join up, they all join up. But I think we need to start looking at them as three different entities and three different layers of heroes.
That's a good.
and real quick to clarify, like yeah, this wasn't nearly as bad as Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 was bad for a lot of reasons. I just jokingly say Spider-Man 3 vibes because of the amount of storylines that were kind of thrown in and weren't giving me a real like weren't taking time to really marinate. And of course, it's a movie compared to a TV show, but that was just me being a troll. But
No, I got you. I understand. I understand. I just I hate that movie, but here the thing is this, right? And the hard part, and it's kind of a cop out, right? But the hard part is that like I'd love to see the original finished product, right? Because they had to cut out the virus part of it. Then they had to do the reshoots, but then they're dealing with COVID as well. So then they can't get as far into the storyline. They can't do as much filming. They can't get in depth as much as they wanted to because we've already done all this filming, and then you got all the COVID protocols, and so everything's kind of a mess. So I would have loved to have seen if things had played out differently, if you had gotten more backstory with the Flag Smashers in that situation. Maybe not, but I would have loved to have seen